What is going on, YouTube? I am Germ here. Today we're talking about more LCS offseason news, the latest and greatest rumor, speculation, talks, everything that's going on behind the scenes right now. We are just one day away from free agency starting. Tomorrow is the big day that we've been waiting for so long to finally happen. November 16th, 7 p.m. Eastern. Free agency is going to start. We're going to start getting all of the questions that we've been wondering about answered. But in today's video, we're talking about TSM, more specifically their top lane situation. Before we get into that, I just want to mention real quick, we do have a $25 RP giveaway going on. It's going to be taking place on Thanksgiving Day, so you still have a little bit of time to enter, but it's coming up quick. It's my way of giving back to you guys, saying thank you so much, giving thanks. And yeah, one of you lucky guys are going to win a $25 RP gift card. Hopefully you enjoy that. With that being said, here we go. We're on the Scuffed Skeleton Twitter account. Very, very reliable leaker. He's tweeted out a bunch of stuff this whole offseason. So the latest news that he wanted to say is, by the way, I'd like to expand on the reasons for the sudden switch in rumor from Impact to Licorice for TSM. So back a couple of weeks ago, it looked like Licorice was going to be the most likely option for TSM. Then we started hearing that FlyQuest was bidding like $1.75 million for the buyout for Licorice. So then TSM got out of there, and then Impact became the most likely. And then it really seemed like Impact was about to happen. Impact made a lot of sense going with the Korean support for TSM, which is what they're rumored as well. And then it seemed like Impact TSM was very, very likely, but now the latest rumor is that Licorice is back to being the most likely option for TSM. The obvious reason is Lico became cheaper, but it wasn't the buyout alone. Lico's buyout was rumored to be around $1.7 million. Obviously, that's the offer that FlyQuest made and then rescinded. That plus a new contract was more than Impact's pay would be. So even though Impact was asking for a lot of money, he was still going to be cheaper because you'd have to buy out and sign. And for Impact, I believe he's a free agent, so you just have to sign him. But for this year, with Licorice becoming cheaper, they've heard TSM's top offer is around $750K, which is apparently what FlyQuest is considering doing. Impact reportedly looking for a bag, which is the quote from I Will Dominate. Impact is apparently asking for a very, very high salary. Obviously, he's a resident top laner with insane pedigree, with insane international experience. He probably deserves a solid paycheck, even though he's winding down to the later stage of his career. He probably understands that as well. This might be his last chance to get that last huge contract, so he's going to go after it. It suddenly became unlikely that TSM would go with Impact financially, and so for those who were wondering, and maybe it wasn't obvious to you, this is why, and I think this makes a lot of sense. This is something that everyone pretty much understood. Licorice had two huge buyout offers for him, $1.75 million, $1.5 million. Both of those offers got rescinded, whether those were legit offers or if those were just BS, people running up the market and then pulling out their offers at the last minute just to mess with people or whatever. That was what the offers for Licorice were, but again, all those offers pulled out, partly because the NBA teams are not funding their esports as much this year, because apparently the NBA is struggling with obviously COVID restrictions, and they just had to play a full season in the bubble, and they're even going to have to start this season with limited attendance at their games and stuff. They miss out a lot of money from that. Viewership's down a little bit. A lot of craziness going on where the NBA isn't making as much money, so obviously it makes sense for teams with NBA ownership to start cutting some esports funding, because their esports teams don't even make money. These are long-term investments where they're hoping to make money in the future, but right now FlyQuest doesn't bring in a profit. A lot of these other teams with NBA owners, they don't bring in a profit, so spending a couple million on Licorice or Impact or whoever while your NBA team is struggling and your esports teams are struggling doesn't make a ton of sense. So the teams that don't have NBA ownership, they're able to spend a little bit more money. Again, TSM, they are never the team that's going to pay the top dollar, but still being willing to throw out $750K for Licorice, that's pretty good. That seems like a pretty solid offer. I think most people expected the Licorice buyout to be over $1 million, but once a lot of these teams, I mean, there are 4 or 5 teams with NBA ownership that all of a sudden don't have much money to throw around. So those dollar signs start just dropping fast on a ton of people. These buyouts are getting real, real low, except for the very, very top ratings. Like obviously the Perks buyout was insane, $3.5 million rumored to be. That's crazy, but you have less competition, so there's not as much room to run up these insane offers on some of these players. But TSM getting Licorice for $750K, a lot of people would consider that a steal. TSM, even a team who doesn't like to spend as much money as some of the other teams, you know, they'd be crazy to not do that at $750K. So yes, I have said that Licorice was the most likely, and at one point he was. I have said Impact was the most likely, and the rumors were at one point that he was. But these situations are fluid. They're constantly changing. Licorice went from #1 to TSM to off TSM's radar. And then as his prices came down, now all of a sudden he's back in TSM's radar. And I think for TSM fans that really is exciting. I do think Licorice is a better short-term and long-term solution than Impact. I think he is better right now. I also think he's younger and projects to be better going forward in the future. I think he's a very good top laner he has just a champion ocean. He can play aggressive, he can play passive, he can play weak side, he can play strong side, he can carry games. He is a guy who is very dedicated to his craft, who works very hard, grinds a ton. I think he's very talented, intelligent, well-spoken. He seems like a great fit for TSM and really a great fit on any team that is trying to be great, to compete for LCS titles, to compete for international success and stuff. And not that Impact isn't also. Impact is a very solid option. I just think Licorice is a little bit better and better in the long term. So a year or two from now, TSM isn't in the same situation, you know, having to find a new top laner, having to shell out all this money on buyouts and stuff. If you get your guy, it's cheaper in the long term. It's better in the long term for everybody. But yeah, that is the latest rumor. One day away from free agency. The rumor is Licorice to TSM seems the most likely. This means Impact would most likely be going to Evil Geniuses. We don't know what's going to happen to Huni. Maybe he goes to AD Carry. Maybe he goes off to another team. We're not sure. But the latest rumor, Licorice, top lane TSM, Impact, top lane for Evil Geniuses. And again, things could change because they're super crazy right now. There's a ton of wild rumors, discussions, agreements going on behind the scenes with all these teams. But that is the latest that I'm hearing and that other people in the scene are hearing as well. Pretty much every video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below. What do you think about this? Do you think TSM should go with Licorice? Do you think they should go with Impact? Do you think they should pay a little more for Impact, or that getting Licorice for cheaper ends up being better? I would love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Subscribe to update on the latest content. Check me out over at Twitch, twitch.tv/I_am_Germ. $25 RP giveaway, first link in the description below. Hopefully catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace!